The Martinez family reunion happened every July at Uncle Carlos's ranch out in the hill country of Texas, and it was always the same beautiful, loud, overwhelming chaos. 75 people spread across 5 acres of land, a sea of faces ranging from grandparents to second cousins twice removed, all moving through the thick summer heat to the sound of mariachi music and the smell of meat sizzling on the grill. Kids ran screaming through water sprinklers, aunts gathered in tight circles trading gossip, and uncles stood around with drinks debating things they only half understood. It was home, in every complicated sense of that word. I had driven 3 hours from Austin that Saturday morning, my old Honda Accord stuffed to the roof with grocery bags and a cooler holding the potato salad my mom had specifically requested. I was exhausted in a way that went bone deep. My company had just closed an enormous funding round, and I had been on the phone with investors until 2 in the morning. $558 million secured, and I spent the drive down counting exit ramps and trying to stay awake. But in our family, you show up. That was never a question. The noise hit me the second I parked. My sister Gabriella was already holding court by the pool, rotating her left hand slowly so the diamond on her finger caught every angle of the Texas sun while a circle of aunts gasped and cooed. My brother Miguel stood nearby with my dad and a cluster of uncles talking about property deals with the serious faces men make when they want to seem important. My cousin Sophia's kids were screaming and splashing anyone within range of the pool. Tia Carmen grabbed me at the gate and pulled me into a hug that smelled like her perfume and fresh tamales. She told me everyone had been asking about me, which I knew from experience was not always a good sign. I found my mom in the kitchen with my grandma and 3 aunts, all of them elbow deep in enchilada assembly. My mom's first question was about the potato salad, her second was about my car and why I was still driving something 12 years old when I clearly needed something reliable. I told her the Honda ran perfectly, which it does. Tia Rosa looked up from her cilantro and asked how my little computer business was going. The healthcare thing. Tia Carmen asked, in that carefully neutral tone that wasn't neutral at all, whether I was making any money yet. I told them we were doing fine. My grandma patted my hand and reminded me that fine was not the same as great, and that I was 29 now, and that Gabriella worked at a big law firm and Miguel had his own real estate office. And what exactly did I have? I said I had a health technology company. She sighed like I had said something sad. She looked at my clothes, jeans and a white shirt and sneakers, and asked why I still lived in a tiny apartment and drove an old car if things were really going so well. My mom joined in, gently, saying they all loved me but that most new businesses fail, and she wanted me to be realistic before too much time passed. I had been having some version of this conversation for 6 years. I didn't argue. I just went to the car to get the salad. Lunch was a feast under the big oak trees. Tables loaded with grilled meat and rice and beans and salsa, all 75 of us eating and talking over each other in that warm, overlapping way big families do. I sat at the far end with my younger cousins because they were easy and uncomplicated and didn't ask me to justify my life choices between bites of chicken. But then Gabriella's voice cut across the whole yard. She announced that her wedding would be at a very fancy hotel in January, described the house she and her fiancé had just bought with its pool and lake view, and held up her hand one more time for the people in the back. Everyone cheered. My mom cried. Then my dad stood up and gave a toast to Miguel and his $8 million downtown Austin property deal, calling him a real estate mogul, while Miguel bowed and grinned. Then Uncle Roberto called out across the yard and asked about me. What about Nina, still doing the tech thing? 75 heads turned. I said yes, still doing it. He asked if it was going well, and before I could answer, Gabriella laughed and told the table that if it were going well, they would have heard about it by now. People chuckled, not cruelly, just casually, the way you laugh at something that seems obvious. She kept going, describing my tiny apartment and my old car and how I worked from coffee shops because I probably couldn't afford a real office. She called me a failed entrepreneur. She said it was embarrassing. The laughter faded and the yard went quiet. My mom told her she was being too mean, and Gabriella shot back that mom had said the same thing just last week, that I needed to face reality and find a real job. My mom's face went red and she fumbled for words. I stood up slowly, asked if they really thought I was a failure, and when nobody said anything useful, I picked up my keys and said I needed to get back to Austin for work. Gabriella called after me as I walked to the car, something about running back to my little startup. I drove away without turning around. On the 3-hour drive home, I thought about what I had never told them. 6 years ago, I walked away from a well-paying corporate job to start MedLink AI, and everyone, my family included, thought I had lost my mind. The problem I wanted to solve was real and urgent. Medical errors are the third leading cause of death in the United States. Diagnostic mistakes alone kill somewhere between 40,000 and 80,000 people every year. Not because doctors are careless, but because there is simply too much information scattered across too many systems for any one human to hold perfectly in their head. I wanted to build an artificial intelligence that could work alongside doctors, not replace them. Just give them a second set of eyes, a system that could catch what exhausted humans sometimes miss. The first 3 years nearly broke me. I spent my entire savings, about $120,000. I ate rice and beans more nights than I could count. I taught myself how to build the systems I needed, talked to hundreds of doctors, and heard the word no so many times it started to lose meaning. In 2020, one small hospital in West Texas, desperate and understaffed, agreed to try our platform. In the first month, the system flagged 3 serious diagnostic errors before they reached patients. Word moved fast in medical circles. By 2021, 20 hospitals were using MedLink, and we were bringing in over $5 million in revenue. By 2022, that number was 180 hospitals, $47 million in revenue, and our first major outside investment. In 2023, we expanded to 420 hospitals across the country, brought in $87 million, and were valued at $320 million. By the time I drove away from that reunion, we had 890 hospitals in 43 states, 470 employees, $340 million in annual revenue, and had just closed the funding round that valued us at $558 million. Forbes had selected me for their 30 under 30 list. They had not just included me, they had put me on the cover. A national television network was airing a feature story on Monday night. My family knew none of it, not because I had hidden it, but because they had never truly asked. They saw my simple apartment and my old car and my plain clothes and filled in the rest themselves. I had let them because I wanted to see if anyone would care enough to look closer. For 6 years, nobody did. I spent Sunday preparing for the broadcast. A stylist helped me choose a navy dress, my team went over talking points, and my business partner James called to tell me that after Monday night, everything would be different. He asked if my family knew, and I said no, I wanted them to find out the same way everyone else did. He said that was a little tough. I reminded him what had happened 2 days before, in front of 75 people under the oak trees, and he went quiet. Monday night, I stood on a stage in a downtown Austin hotel ballroom in front of 600 people and a live television audience. The host described how MedLink AI had transformed diagnostic care across nearly 900 hospitals and had helped prevent over 12,000 medical errors in a single year. Then he said my name. I walked out into the lights and told my story exactly as it had happened. The job I quit, the savings I burned through, the years of eating cheap food and hearing no. I talked about my family, not to embarrass them, but because it was true, because the doubt had been real and the silence had been real, and I had built the company anyway. I told anyone else in the middle of that same struggle to keep going, because eventually the world would catch up, but it would happen on their terms, nobody else's. The room stood up when I finished. Backstage, my phone had over 100 missed calls. My mom was frantic. Gabriella kept asking if it was really me. Miguel was stunned. Aunts, uncles, my dad, everyone suddenly had something to say. Tuesday morning, my doorbell rang at 9. My mom, my dad, Gabriella, and Miguel were standing outside my apartment. I let them in. My dad asked if everything I had said on television was accurate. I said yes. Gabriella asked if the company was really worth $558 million. I said yes. Miguel did the mental math on my ownership stake and sat down. My mom went pale on the couch, remembering what she had said 2 days before. Gabriella said it was cruel that I had let them believe I was struggling. I told her I had not let them do anything. They had assumed and then acted on those assumptions in ways that were unkind, and I had simply not corrected them. I reminded her what she had called me, in front of the whole family, out loud, with people laughing. My dad apologized. He asked why I had never just told them the truth, and I said I had tried many times. But the conversation always changed or turned into a joke or circled back to me needing a real job. My mom said they thought they were protecting me by not pressing on what they assumed was a failure. I told her that making someone feel small for trying is not protection. They left without much more to say. By evening, my voicemail was full of messages from aunts and uncles, all apologetic, all a little stunned. My grandma sent a voice note saying she was proud of me and sorry she had doubted me. I listened to it twice. In October, the Forbes issue came out with my face on the cover. My mom bought 50 copies and mailed them to the entire extended family with a handwritten note saying they should all have listened more carefully. My dad started reading medical news so he could understand what I was actually building. Miguel became my loudest public supporter, telling everyone he met about his sister and what she had done. My mom visited the office and stood in the lobby looking at my name on the wall and cried for a long time. Gabriela took the most time. A few months later, she asked me to meet for coffee, and when we sat down, she told me the truth, that she had been jealous of my willingness to take a risk, that mocking my choices had made her feel safer about her own, that she was sorry. It was a real apology, and I accepted it, because trust takes time to rebuild, but you have to start somewhere. The following year, Google Health acquired MedLink AI for $1.8 billion. I stayed on to lead the company through the transition, and many of my employees, people who had believed in the mission early, became financially set for life. A magazine ran a follow-up story and interviewed my family. Their quotes were humble and honest. They admitted they had seen only what they expected to see, not who I actually was. I had those quotes framed and hung them in my new office, not as a trophy, but as a reminder that even the people who love you most can look straight at you and see something entirely different. My grandma texted me not long ago to ask for forgiveness for being so stubborn about everything. I wrote back and told her that she was the one who taught me to be stubborn, and that it had turned out to be my greatest strength. The reunion did not make me who I am. The television broadcast did not make me successful. The acquisition did not either. I was already all of those things, quietly, steadily, building something real in the years when nobody was paying attention. The public moment just made it impossible to ignore. And when it finally came, I was standing exactly where I had always planned to be, on my own terms, in my own time, having done it entirely my own way.